Clerks 2. One ring to rule them all.
The comedy sequel, one of the hardest films to try and make. How do you top a film that has instantly memorable quotes, has a built-in following, and was made as a knee-jerk response to Jersey Girl's failure? You make the first Clerks in color and set it in a different venue. Ever since the first Clerks film, Clerks 2 was something Kevin Smith wanted to do. The film had spun off into a TV pilot that never aired and an incredibly underrated animated series that lasted 6 episodes. So there was a demand for a return to the quick stop. So in 1999, Smith had plans for Clerks 2 Hardly Clerkin' in the credits for Dogma. Fast forward to a 2004, and Smith retitled Clerks 2 to The Passion of the Clerks as a parody of The Passion of the Christ. However, Smith changed the title back to Clerks 2 with a 2005 release date in mind. But due to prior commitments, he pushed the film up to 2006. Then there was Joel Siegel. Joel Siegel was the usually upbeat and chipper movie critic for Good Morning America. Joel Siegel was basically Gene Shalit if you took the cocaine away. At the time, Siegel was dying of cancer, but he reportedly walked out of a press screening yelling, "Time to go. This is the first movie I've walked out on in 30 fucking years." Meanwhile, Kevin Smith did what every professional filmmaker does. Trashed him on the internet. "I don't need Joel Siegel to suck my dick the way he apparently sucks M. Night's, gushing over his flick before he's even seen it." On the Opie and Anthony show, Smith confronted Joel Siegel, with Siegel unaware he was actually talking to Smith to call him out on his behavior. Siegel would later die of cancer the following year. Here's the thing. Both parties are in the wrong. Siegel shouldn't have made a scene and just quietly left. But Kevin Smith shouldn't have attacked Siegel over the fact that one of the films he watched while dying of cancer has a donkey show front and center. Sometimes a film just isn't someone's cup of tea. The problem with comedy sequels is that most comedies have a clear beginning, middle, and end. Let's look at the Hangover films as an example. The first Hangover is a comedy classic. I still repeat watch this movie to this day. It was full of quotable lines, made superstars out of Bradley Cooper, Ed Helms, and Zach Galifianakis, and twists you really didn't see coming. But the key thing is that The Hangover had a clear ending. The sequels were trying to catch that lightning again to dwindling results. The Hangover Part 2 was basically the first film remade in an expensive location. The Hangover Part 3 was a tone-deaf mess that made these characters unlikable, drastically shifted tones mid-movie, and here's the key thing about The Hangover Part 3. I didn't laugh once. In fact, I saw that film opening weekend in a packed theater and you could hear a pin drop in there. I can count on my hands the number of genuinely great comedy sequels that have been made. For every 22 Jump Street, there is a Bad Santa 2. For every Christmas Vacation, there's Christmas Vacation 2, Cousin Eddie's Island Adventure. No, really, this is a movie that actually exists. Clerks 2 is one of those comedy sequels I can count on my hands. Clerks 2 is a love letter to the View Askew universe. By focusing on Dante and Randall, who were the foundation this shared universe was built on, it makes you realize how Smith was able to create something from nothing. Clerks 2 sees Dante and Randall working at movies after the quick stop burns down to the ground. Dante is working his last day before he moves to Florida with his fiancée Emma. However, Dante has a close relationship with Becky, the general manager of movies, and Randall is worried about losing his only friend. What works about Clerks 2 is the first Clerks movie just ending with them walking out of the store. Clerks didn't have a clear ending. On the other hand, if you ended Clerks on the ending where Dante gets shot, Clerks 2 would have been terrible. Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson don't miss a beat. They still play off of each other perfectly in this film. I'm going to say something that may come off as controversial in 2019, but Harvey Weinstein was right. Harvey Weinstein was against the idea of Kevin Smith's wife, Jennifer Schwalbach, playing Becky, the love interest of Dante, as was originally intended. Weinstein felt Clerks 2 needed a star in that role. After Sarah Silverman, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Ellen Pompeo turned the role down, in came Rosario Dawson. Rosario Dawson slots into this universe so perfectly as Becky. O'Halloran and Dawson have such fantastic chemistry together, and she plays off each cast member perfectly. But you want to know why she does slot so well into the View Askew universe? No joke. She took this role solely to see the Donkey Show. Then there's Elias, the most underrated character in the View Askew universe. This is a character I want to see 13 years later after the events of Clerks 2. Now that Michael Bay directed 5 Transformers movies and Peter Jackson half-assed 3 Hobbit movies. Elias has such a potential for growth as a far more cynical character than Randall Graves, given that he starts off as a candidate for sainthood in Clerks 2. Trevor Furman, again, is one of those actors who should have gone on to being more billed on a sitcom. He is so good in the role of Elias that it's shocking that only this and the Jeff Anderson written, directed, and starred film Now You Know are his only credits. So let's talk about the crude humor of this film and how it lands so well. A 3-minute long conversation about going ass to mouth shouldn't have me in stitches. But the timing Dante, Randall, and Becky all have in this scene is nothing short of amazing, with Becky delivering the punchline. Let me start by saying there is no defending a term like
porch monkeys.
However, the
Porch monkeys
scene with Earthquake and Wanda Sykes works so well because the joke is on Randall and not the black couple in the store. In fact, he gets called out on it by both Dante and Becky and almost loses his job. Wanna know why that lands so well? I remember seeing this theatrically, and there was a black guy sitting right in front of me practically dying of laughter. Despite it being word for word a bit from An Evening with Kevin Smith 2, Evening Harder, the Lord of the Rings and Star Wars debate is still funny as hell. Usually, when a film stops dead for something like a dance sequence, it's something I could dock a star for. But I love how this happy dance sequence sets up a major plot line of this film. So let's talk about the jail scene, and why this scene hits me on such a personal level. When I saw this theatrically, my best friend was getting ready to move to Arizona. My 2 closest friends were living on the West Coast. When Dante and Randall have this very real conversation, where Randall calls Dante out for letting life shit on him, he says one line that cut me to my core.
You're my best friend. And I love you. In a totally heterosexual way. Please, man, don't leave me.
The way Randall delivered that line made me tear up in the theater. I was afraid that I was going to lose my closest friend. Keep in mind, they are in jail for having a donkey show at movies. The fact that you can go from an outrageous scenario like a donkey show to Randall's phenomenal emotional arc that in turn touched me is the power of great writing. The only thing I can honestly ding Clerks 2 for is Jennifer Schwalbach's performance as a character clearly made to be in her early to mid-20s. But otherwise, this film is how you do a comedy sequel. The film opens and closes in black and white. It doesn't lose the identity of these characters we grew up with. I even love the little touch of using everything by God herself, Alanis Morissette, to guide Dante into growing up. More importantly, This film helped me to process my best friend's move to Arizona, in which he came back to Ohio a few years later and kills it as a photographer. Clerks 2 may have some vulgar and offensive scenes, but it also has a huge beating heart to it. I seriously was not planning a 10-minute plus review on this film. I had so much to say about it. Clerks 2 deserves a 4.5 out of 5. Be sure to like, comment, share, spread the word New Realms Media. Follow me on all my socials at New Realms Media. Until then, I'll see you next time.